Well, I'm I'm claiming this is a gimmick to say for a moment this morning I'm going to put on my OTO hat. This there isn't really an OTO hat except degree of regalia and turbans and things like that. But isn't that beautiful? It's a pat. I really should put that on something. No, I'm going to put on my OTO hat just for a moment this morning because a couple things I want to share with you. But I am and have been for the last 19 years or something like that, uh, the United States Deputy National Grand Master. Okay, it's an extreme. It's the greatest honor in uh, my life, and I've really enjoyed my role. I probably, as far as I know, uh, because I was initiated in 1975, in November of 1975, that I am probably the have the most seniority in years of any active member, and but I don't want to toot that horn because I'm also a terribly lazy and unworthy organizational contributor. Uh, Nevertheless, next year I'll be celebrating my 50th year in the OTO. Very proud of all of that. Uh, but as such, I get a lot of emails and messages right here on Facebook to my shows about people wanting to know how to join the OTO and what do they have to do and uh, things like that. And because joining the OTO, just like joining the Freemasons or any other uh, order that is discriminating, uh, it's not that straightforward of a thing, and it makes it just like Masonry, Freemasonry. OTO has the tradition of not proselytizing. Okay, the OTO does not proselytize. Uh, we welcome inquiries, but we don't say, "Hey, you should join the OTO." No, you either want to join or you don't. And if you don't, we're happy that you just don't want to join. Uh, Grady McMurtry often paraphrased Crowley or Carl Germer or Wilfred Smith and saying that Thelemites aren't made, they're born. Well, that's pretty much uh, that's pretty much the case. But you don't the OTO doesn't outreach. It doesn't reach out for you and say, come join us." And maybe that's one of the reasons that compared to large organizations like the Rotary Club or the Lions Club or uh, other fraternal organizations, it's relatively small. And of course, I can only speak for the U.S. Grand Lodge, but I've gotten messages from people that are saying they won't respond and they're not reaching out to me, and I'd make a good OTO member. And when I write them back, I I discover that they haven't made enough effort to contact anybody, uh, beyond, just I don't know what they haven't. Here's the drill. If you're in any part of the country, and let's say the U.S., any place in the country, because there's not OTO bodies everywhere, and there's even less bodies that actually can provide the initiatory experience. So you may be out in the boondocks somewhere and have read enough Crowley that you say, wow, I would like OTO initiations. I would like to be initiated. Okay, first of all, if you don't have a computer, how are you watching this? But if you don't have a computer, go to a friends with a computer and go to oto-usa.org. That's the U.S. Here, I'll leave that up for a minute. That's the U.S. Grand Lodge website. And you can, there are a list of all of the United States OTO bodies in every state where there's an OTO. And they're listed by city too. So the first thing you do is find the nearest OTO body nearest you and go down and find the secretary's email address. There should be a secretary's email address. And then you write the secretary, introduce yourself. Try not to sound like a complete contact the secretary in a respectful, serious manner, that you're interested in OTO membership, you're interested in taking the OTO Man of Earth degrees. What do you have to do to take it to the next step? Say, how can I meet with somebody? Okay, so we can talk. Now, usually the whether they initiate at that body or not, usually they'll say that to formally apply, you'll need 2 existing OTO members to be your sponsor. Now, so many people say, "Oh, it's a catch-22. How can I, I can't join SAG-AFTRA unless I've been in a play, and I can't be in a play unless I'm in SAG." No, okay, calm down. Okay, you then have to show at least enough interest to say, well, what is your next public event, class, Gnostic Mass that I can come to, and I can meet people and introduce myself face to face? Believe me, if you go to a Gnostic Mass, introduce yourself to the lodge master or the secretary at the Mass. They're public events, and say, I'm interested in joining the OTO. There will be somebody there at that event to chat with you and actually provide you the paperwork, the application. That like any other organization, you fill out the application and stuff, and there's room at the bottom for 2 signatures of the sponsors. Okay. Chances are, if it's a Gnostic Mass or a well-attended class, there will be 2 people there that are likely to sponsor you right there on the spot. They know that you're a real human being. They know that you can put a sentence together. They know that they see you. They see that you can behave yourself in a public event. Chances are, if you want to be initiated and present yourself as a sincere uh, applicant, you'll get your two signatures either at that event or at the next event you okay. Besides, you want to know whether these people, these OTO people, are people that you want to even hang out with, even initially. Now, if the OTO group in your area is so small that don't uh, have they don't perform or celebrate Gnostic Mass regularly, or they don't have regular classes or meetings, arrange to meet the secretary and the master for coffee. Because once you make that contact, once they see you're a flesh and blood person that's likely not a mass murderer, you're on your way. Okay. They will say, most people in our area go to, and then they refer to a bigger city in that state that does have an OTO body that does initiate. And then you can approach them. You can have your local small people help you be introduced to the body that does perform those initiations, and you're on your way. Is that now? It's harder for me to describe that than it is for you to do that. The point is, you got to keep in mind that the OTO is unlike other organizations that want to snatch you up immediately and pester you and send people to proselytize and say, no, no, they just, if you're serious about joining, do it like an adult. Go to the website, contact the secretary. If the secretary doesn't return your inquiry in a timely manner, there's also the name of the lodge master or the body master. Contact the body master. Say the secretary is not writing me back, and I'm really interested. If neither of them write you back, then go to the lodge on the list of OTO bodies. Uh, See what the nearest lodge in your area is, and in some parts of the country that it may be 100 miles away. Nevertheless, contact the lodge because they do the initiations, and they are aware and are concerned if the smaller local groups aren't handling things properly, aren't responding in a timely manner. In other words, if you've tried at the local level and haven't gotten any satisfaction, then go over their heads to the, I don't want to put it that way because there's all sorts of extenuating circumstances. But just say, I understand that you're where these initiations take place. I've tried to contact my local body here in town. I haven't gotten any response, and do that. You'll get your two sponsors. It's not intended to be a bar, not a bar of an obstacle. Okay. But two people really have to sort of say, yes, I've talked to the person. I understand. I think he's stable enough to uh, uh, be a good member. Other than that, it's not a personal judgment kind of thing. There's there's probably the broadest spectrum of individuals in the entire planet. Okay, who belong to thelemic organizations. Okay, and it uh, we really do want to uh, be open and available. Just don't be afraid, okay, to display your sincerity, okay, and don't wait for anyone to go way out of their way to proselytize you or to unduly influence you to join. Because, like the Masons, the OTO does not proselytize. So I'll take my OTO hat off. I've got I've got two things I want to read to you today about from Ask Babylon. And this is really changing the subject. Uh, we've been unpacking a bunch of stuff that we should have unpacked like 3 years ago. Okay, and there's lots of personal stuff, lots of magic stuff, lots of things of our sons that we've stored for uh, many years, things like that. And this may sound really stupid from a somebody who's supposedly a serious occultist, but we're unpacking stuffed animals. Constance has stuffed animals that were that she had in her childhood. Uh, Stuffed animals that were made during World War II. Stuffed animals that are stuffed with straw. Stuffed animals that she had cared for like a real baby for years with Constance. She's still we both treat stuffed animals and talk for them and things like that. In a sense, there is no inanimate objects. And I got to thinking about uh, where the life comes from that vivifies objects like that. And I, I tried to find something in Ask Babylon uh, that had anything to do with that because I wanted to discuss it today. Uh, because we have things that stuffed animals that our friend Kenneth Anger, the filmmaker Kenneth Anger, who just died recently. Um, uh, Kenneth Anger gave I don't know how many stuffed animal toys to our son, and dinosaur posters and things like that because he's just such a wonderful, generous guy, and uh, so they have special significance. Okay, they have talismanic uh, value. They're priceless in a way, and they've just been stuffed in boxes and but there's one chapter, one letter I got. I don't know how many years ago, probably around 19 or 2008. Okay, because he mentions Enochian vision magic, and that's when that was. And it's binding spirits into objects. Dear Babylon, first, okay, he's just thanking me for the books and stuff like that. So it's, uh, I do have a question that you may be able to help me with. A previous teacher I once had said it's bad form to ask a question without expecting to pay. In short, you should respect the time and oh well, okay. So he PayPal'd me some, and he said you don't have to answer my question, but I thought I'd pay anyway. So I'll skip over that. The question: I stumbled or was pulled into the occult with the purchase of a quote haunted ring on eBay. While I recognize this may sound cheesy, this ring was the vessel of a demon, which I believed to be genuine. I sent the ring back to the seller, for it was still a bit more than I was ready for. Either way, this sent me down a path of research and study, looking at and continuing to look at different beliefs and theories regarding occult, the occult and psychology, etc. One thing that seems to elude me is a general overview of how the summoner binds a spirit into an item, a bit like the ring I purchased. I've read books regarding thought forms and how to condense them into an object, etc., but I've yet to encounter much, if anything, written about binding spirits, threatening spirits with holy names. Yes, bargaining with spirits to do your bidding. Yes, but never binding. I was curious if you could suggest a book or had any thoughts. In your book, My Life with the Spirits, you describe summoning and then possibly binding a spirit to its sigil and then hiding it in your guitar. Would this simple arrangement of, quote, I will draw your sigil and protect it if you serve, unquote, constitute a binding, or is there more to that? I also realize that a lot of overlap exists between theories of demons being simply subconscious thoughts versus separate entities. And while I am constantly looking at different theories, the practical use is always more interesting, regardless of what is causing it. And that's absolutely true. This person is very wise. Theory is fine, okay, but theories can also always be countered with other theories and stuff. Don't wait for the theory to actually. Don't wait to commit to a theory to just try it out. Okay, what's the worst that's going to happen to you? Well, maybe I can't. Whatever, try it out. The adventure will change you into the type of person that'll understand which of the theories is most workable. Okay, I'm going to read that again because it was a very wise thing to say. I also realize that a lot of overlap exists between theories of demons being simply subconscious thoughts versus separate entities. And while I'm constantly looking at different theories, the practical use is always more interesting, regardless of what is causing it. I guess I don't completely mind if it's all in my head or not. Also, what are your thoughts in general to familiar spirits being generally bad, generally good, depends, etc.? Thank you for any help If, however, you prefer not to answer my questions, that's fine as well. Okay, here's my answer. Hi, name withheld. Thanks for the kind words and very thoughtful and generous contribution to the DuQuette family's life of genteel poverty. I wish I could reward your courtesy with something more substantial than I'm about to offer you, because alas, I'm not aware of any particular book to which I can refer you, nor am I able to regale you with a string of personal anecdotes of my personal experiences with binding spirits into objects. I might, however, have some thoughts on the matter and offer an example of something that I've done that might be helpful to your work. If you have experience in Solomonic magic, conjuring one or more of the 72 spirits of the Goetia, you already possess the skills necessary to get the summoning, trapping part nailed straight away. If you're not familiar with my take on the subject, please read my recent published The Key to Solomon's Key. The formula of Solomonic magic can be applied to the conjuration of spirit entities other than the traditional 72 spirits outlined in the text. Indeed, it's possible to summon anything into the magic triangle. Call them thought forms if you will, but your mind or the mind of another can create them. And they are bona fide spirits. I participated in Solomonic evocations of mythological creatures and fictional literary characters. Several years ago, I was retained to exercise one of the oldest Catholic girls' schools in the country. How that came about is a magical story in itself. It seems the staff, students, and their families were being beset by a string of particularly horrific tragedies. So many, in fact, that they began to believe it could be nothing less than a case of demonic possession of the school itself. You probably can already guess that I believe it to be something less romantic, yet nonetheless real in its ability to kill and terrify. Because the attacks were so numerous and varied in nature, I decided I would gather together and focus the dynamics of the entire spectrum of phenomena by creating one master demon, who once I discovered its name, I could summon into the triangle and use the tried and true techniques of Solomonic magic to curse, banish, and if necessary, annihilate. Think of the concept of one of those little robot Transformers toys. Numerous individual tiny robots, but when you put them together they form the fingers and hands and legs and toes and torso of one big robot. In this case, however, the master demon was made up of a list of tiny demonic units of whatever it was that contributed to the car crash that burned alive a teacher and her baby, and of whatever it was that accelerated the pancreatic cancer of another teacher, causing him to die within hours of diagnosis, and whatever it was that severed the maintenance man's finger, and whatever it was that broke the hip of a teacher, and whatever it was that shot and killed the teenage son of an accountant, and whatever it was that moved the classroom furniture at night, and whatever it was that caused the most beloved young teacher nun to collapse and die in front of the classroom of hysterical students. It was quite a night, but it worked out pretty well. I guess what I'm trying to get across is that there are no limits on how you might go about binding a spirit, any spirit, into an object. As the laziest of lazy magicians, I would simply prepare myself to evoke the spirit into a triangle, a la my standard Solomonic operating procedures, but I would also place the object in the triangle. When the spirit is trapped in the triangle, it is also trapped in the object. Using your own ingenuity, figure out a way to magically or even metaphorically keep the object in the magical triangle until a time that you give it license to depart. But here's the rub. You'll also have to figure out how to keep yourself in the magic circle for the duration of the entire binding purpose or the binding period. Does that thought disturb you? It should. But magicians get used to things like that. I hope this has at least been helpful. My best, Babylon. Okay. I thought I had time for one more of those kind of things, but I don't. I've rambled on with my OTO hat on there for a while. And returning to that subject, really, if you're interested, uh, uh, start off by going to the website and contacting the nearest local secretary and just be straightforward. What do I have to do to apply? Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself, be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.